Thank you, Victoria, for this nice introduction. Wood selection of ancient temple structures in Ladakh, located in the western Himalayas, which is India. And yeah, I will first give a little introduction into where I have been in Ladakh. Also a little method of the microscopic wood identification, and then I will present the various investigation sites in Ladakh, and of course some results. Okay, here is Ladakh. Where is it situated? You see India, and it's on the northeastern corner of India, next to Tibet, next to China, Xinjiang area, and its northeast is Kashmir is next by, or Ladakh is part of the Kashmir Jammu area. And as you see, this is the Indus River, starting here, Indus River, this is Tibet, Indus River, and going down, downwards. And most sites we investigated were along the Indus River. Okay, this is the Indus River, and you see, okay, Ladakh is dry desert area. It's very dry, a little rain, but the trees are growing along the rivers. You can see some poplar and willow and others. Here you have also the beautiful mountain, always as a nice scene. Yeah, and this cooperation was done with the Tibet Heritage Fund, which is an NGO, and they do restoration of traditional buildings and temples in Tibet. They started in Tibet, but they had to move, and they went to the Tibetan Cultural Sphere in China, and also in India and in Mongolia, and also they bring in chief carpenters who train local people in these traditional techniques. The other cooperation was done with my institute, the Far East Asian Civilizations Research Center in Paris, France. And there is a group working in Ladakh, archaeologists. In the method of wood identification, we start with sampling. This is very acrobatic. We have to climb up buildings and get the samples. Mostly, this also was a building in cooperation with the Tibet Heritage Fund of a temple which was under restoration. Then we get the samples, and the samples are then prepared for microscopic slides. And this is Miss Hunt's section, so you see this very tiny work. And you all know the stem with the cross section, the radial section, and the tangential section. This is by macroscopic feature, and in the microscopic for wood identification we need the same sections. This is the same but on microscopic level. The cell structure, we need this for wood identification. This is the work on the microscope. Yeah, and then the investigation sites in Ladakh. We start with the capital. Leh is the capital, and also next to the Indus River. And there were some traditional houses and some stupa, and from the 19th or from the 17th century. This is a view over Ladakh, over Leh, the capital of Ladakh. And yeah, you see these flat roof houses, which are traditional, typical traditional houses. But yeah, this is one of those houses, and it looks very stony outside, but inside is wood. All is wood. Yeah, and yeah, when the blood identification showed populus, which is poplar, salix, which is willow, poplar and willow, poplar and willow. That is what we found in this traditional building. This is another building, another house, the Sophia House, and this is was owned by, or is owned by Kashmir. So this is a Muslim, and also in Ladakh, and Muslim and Buddhist live peacefully together. It is, yeah. You have here also the identification showed poplar, and only on the ceiling is willow. Here you have the ceiling with these little sticks on the ceiling, and those are willow. You see, this is a willow tree, they are coppiced, and then the shoots, they make these little sticks for the ceilings. Poplar also. Another house, and here some inside view, traditional house, and here also poplar all over, except of the sticks on the roof, and the ceiling is willow. And here this is a Stupa Gate, and here you have some timber on the ceiling and on the wall. We took some random samples, and also willow and poplar. Then we go down the Indus River, 500 meters down, and there is Alchi Monastery, and there are these two temples, and we took samples, and it's from the 11th and the 15th century, and you see here inside wood, and result poplar, 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 except flooring board. We got juniper, and this is much harder than poplar, therefore for the flooring board. Yeah, here inside taking the samples, and all is poplar. Then we go down, further down the Indus River, and up a small river, Yapula River, to the Vanla village. And this temple from the 13th century, and big surprise, another wood species. These are pine, 5-leaf, 5-needle pine, Pinus vallichiana, and the outside is, the two pillars are made from pine and the rest from salix, from willow, because this has been restored by the Achi Association, as you can see on top. And inside and outside you see some knots, so which is, yeah, for the conifer, shows that it's a conifer, but otherwise, so the pillars are also this pine, and the rest is willow. Then we go again down the river and up again to this Kanji village, the Kong River. This small confluent of the Indus River is the Kong River, and go to the Kanji village, and here goes, this is on the way to that village, and here a very tiny temple, and here all is juniper. Yeah. on the inside, and outside all was juniper. Yeah. Also, this very nice wall painting. So art historians are very much interested in these wall paintings. This is Tibetan style. So all these temples where we investigated is all Tibetan Buddhism. And we go up again the Indus River, up to this wonderful village, Chumatang. Oh, I love that so much. And it was an incredible trip also along the Indus River. An old temple, 1300. And I was not alone there. We went there with the carpenters, the craftsmen, the masons, because this temple had not yet been identified, not yet been restored. So the Tibet Heritage Fund and myself and all the masons and carpenters went together. And we had this trip together with the timber on the trucks. So it was fascinating. Also on the way we bought the timber, which was then, while the craftsmen started to prepare the material, timber and mud, for the restoration, I was taking the samples. But before doing all this, the temple had to be purified. So this monk was did a purification ceremony before we started. And here you see a little bit shaky structure. And the identification showed poplar, poplar, poplar again, and some willow. And yeah, for example, 2 rafters were made of willow and lintels and rafter, but mostly poplar. And so from all the 111 collected samples for the wood species, 4 wood species were identified: poplar, willow, juniper, and Pinus haploxylon 5-needle pine. The buildings along the river are mainly made of poplar. The willow is used for the ceiling sticks called taru, or sometimes in place of poplar, like some rafters in this first house we saw, or in the restoration of this Vanla temple. And the 2 temples along the confluent river show 2 conifers, juniper and 5-needle pine. So as for pines, there are 5 indigenous pine species in India. 4 have 2 needles, and these are the hard pines, and only 1 species is 5-bundled or soft pine, so we can say it's Pinus wallichiana or synonym Pinus excelsa. As for the poplar, there's a possibility that these are poplar of Opopulus euphraticas, it's a Euphrates poplar, very famous in desert areas. But I will go through the samples again in April. Then for a specific purpose, for flooring or for a pillar base, a different wood species like juniper has been used. And for excavated wooden remains, I also did some with my institute archaeologists, and there were also some other tree species, mostly poplar, but also another species like Hippophae rhamnoides, which is the sea buckthorn. And this is the sea buckthorn. Thank you for your attention.